Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Rift, where Beyond the Rift is our name and Smite is our game.
Brought to you by Borderland Gaming. Tonight we have with you our special guests you'll be meeting in a moment of KO, Kevin Bacon, and Natalie, and our general guest, Lionheart.
Yes.
We have some great topics for you tonight. We'd like to go over with them.
Go over them?
Yes.
Topics?
Yes.
We have topics? Hold on.
No topics. So some of the topics we have tonight, we'll be talking about some of the mid lane stuff, the
meta change with the 2 ability slots, how it's been
yes,
how it's
2
been
ability
a
slots,
week
2
later.
consumables. A week later, we're going to go over
Spear of the
Ares
Magus now.
and Spear of the Magus, as well as we're going to take viewer calls and check in chat for the poll so that you can vote for what god we go over this week and give you an impromptu pro guides from our panel that you will see above us momentarily.
Yes, yes. And so I like to say we have 3/5 of BL Gaming North America team with us. KO, Kevin Bacon, and Anatoly, as people some say, Anatoly. And then, of course, Lionheart being the ever so regular man.
Yes.
So welcome, gentlemen. KO, how are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here finally on the show. So
yes, it's good to have you.
no, I'm not doing laundry in the background. That's my failed green screen that I don't have the lighting set up for at night. But
It
yeah,
happens.
it's working for now.
It happens.
Nice. All right, Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Glad to be a part of the team.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, and we're glad to have such a celebrity on Team BLG.na.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Oh, I guess we'll let you guys also say your positions and stuff on the team.
Yeah,
so, KO,
yeah.
what is your position exactly?
Yeah, what do you do?
Mostly, I just play ranged AD carry in the right lane alongside Anatoly.
Nice.
And yeah, I usually don't have to deviate from that. So
Cool. Kevin, what is your position?
I play solo mid. That's pretty much it.
Nice.
That's all I do. No one comes help me.
Nope.
Forever alone.
Exactly.
Yep, forever alone. Cool. Anatoly, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Oh, great. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Looks like
I
you're
played by
having
lane support.
Good.
great
With
lane
KO.
support. All right, Lionheart, what do you do? I hear that you do things involving other people.
I'm scared to know what that means.
Oh, should I not have said that? Was that? Never mind.
I'm Lionheart. I do community casting. A lot of time you guys will catch me on the hi-rez stream, co-casting with Bart. I also stream myself. Not on any team right now. Just kind of, as you call me, a pub stomper. I just play with friends, viewers, and generally have a good time. Keep in touch with the competitive community.
Excellent. Excellent.
Very nice. Very nice.
Cool. Well, let's jump right into this. Also, go ahead and start queuing up your calls that you would like to call and ask us questions. That's over there, perfect.rain on Skype. You can, preferably, you will message me, and then I will call you when it is time for call-ins and stuff like that. So message me with your question first, so that way I can make sure that we're on some sort of topic, and I can also get you in the order that you messaged me in to not have that kind of issue. So what is first on our list of things to discuss?
First on our list of things to discuss, I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
You're
welcome.
We're going to go over the meta changes, how things have changed between the giant patch last week and now, since we've actually had a week to go over it versus just 6 or 8 hours of the 2 abilities and the 2 consumables. So we're going to start with our first guest. I think it would be a great question for him, the BLG.na captain, KO, of how are things changed, how has the teams changed, how have scrims changed since this change last week?
Which particular
Yeah.
one? The meta or the abilities?
Yeah, the 2 abilities, 2 consumables.
So we're talking about the abilities and consumables.
yeah,
Continue.
I get it. So a lot of what we're seeing now in scrims is different teams trying out different ability combinations and sacrificing items to get certain abilities to maybe secure early kills, or sacrificing Hand of the Gods to get that item faster, but just being a little more at risk to do the creeping. Overall, we're seeing a lot of prioritization for the green buff, because that seems to really dictate the pace of a lane. Whoever has green buff seems to have a huge advantage. But in terms of having the 2 ability slots, and I mean it hasn't changed things that much. You're seeing a lot of Girdle, Might, Creeping Curse, those kind of things with Hand of the Gods early on. But
Right.
yeah, I mean.
So, Girdle of Might is something I've just started seeing more recently. The only times I've used it before when I accidentally got it over Hand of the Gods. And it always worked out pretty well for me. So what kind of roles are you seeing picking up Girdle of Might nowadays?
Well, a lot of times, in the right lane, if they get Girdle, it's usually on the support. Anytime you do get one of those support abilities early on, you want to make sure you're not making your carry spend money that you're not spending on items. So I mean, in the left lane though, a lot of times you can do a couple different things. Like you can put a creeping curse on your assassin and then Girdle on the other, so you're extremely explosive early game. But yeah, I mean that's about it. So.
Cool. All right. And how about you, Mr. Bacon?
Has it changed mid much?
Yeah.
For Girdle of Might or the two abilities?
Both.
Yes.
We're gonna go with abilities first, and then Girdle Might, if you have anything to say about it.
I'm a huge fan of the change. I think it's made mid lane a lot more interesting. I think having 3 abilities was a bit overkill. I mean, you can get beads and Aegis and be safe from roughly everything. I think it was a bit too much to cycle, but now you have to kind of pick. Generally, it comes down to one defensive, one offensive ability, and having two consumables is absolutely awesome. Just how much sustain you have now, it's pretty ridiculous. As for Girdle of Might, it's an awesome item. I've been experimenting with a mid. I came across it first in a scrim against Focus Gaming at their mid player. I think it's Scythe Man, if I'm not mistaken. So credit goes to him. He's kind of inspired me to pick up Girdle mid, and it's turned out absolutely awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting actually.
So
that
explain
really
what
strong.
Girdle does exactly for us who don't pick it up often or ever.
It's a big kind of AoE team buff that buffs 30 physical damage and 50 ability power, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not. That's correct.
Cool.
So it buffs you and everyone around you?
Yep, that was changed in the most recent patch. Before it used to be just the individual who had it, but that was obviously really underpowered. No one was getting it then, and I'm just happy to see the meta kind of take this direction, and you're seeing so much experimentation, more like fleshed out early game. You're getting ganks, you're getting creepy curses, invades, and everything. It's pretty awesome.
And the buff duration is 10 seconds for those who don't know.
Does it also
Yeah.
buff your Roman melee and Roman ranged for the physical?
No.
Good question. I have no idea.
Yeah, so it doesn't buff creeps too.
One thing that
would be
Anato
awesome.
might want to talk about too, because he sees this more than anybody. But early game now with 2 consumable slots, you can get the pots and the wards, as opposed to before, where a lot of people would just go to the pots. Yeah, that's changing how things are. You're seeing a lot more early game wards right off the bat.
Excellent. That sounds like it's going to lead to much more interesting invades and planning invades and stuff like that. So, and protecting
Exactly.
yourself from invades.
Yeah, with the 2 slots, it definitely helps warding. I can now get 3 wards, 2 mana pots, or mix it up. Wait for their counter wards, ward if I want to initially, just wait for them to come back. It helps a lot in the early warding phase.
That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
Lionheart looks so happy. He wants to really just chime in on this subject.
Oh, I was just laughing about the chat. I think that the ability slots being cut down is like the greatest thing ever. I think that it forces players to make a decision now, as where before you really got to be able to just, what do I feel like buying right now? I'll just pick it up because I've still got all these open slots later that I can fill later when I have a different need. And now teams are really gonna have to think about how they choose to spend those slots, especially if you're picking up Hand of the Gods, because once you pick up Hand of the Gods, it really only leaves you with one ability that you can pick up. As where before you had 2, so maybe you could get something defensive and offensive. Now you're kind of pigeonholed into what am I going to use this last ability slot for? And once I commit to that, I can't change it because I can't sell abilities.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
That's a good point.
Consumables have already been talked about. This is the increased sustain is interesting, changes the meta. The ability to ward early changes the meta. Girdle of Might scares me. I am scared for the potential of abuse with that item. I don't think.
For who?
I think that the values on that, there's potential to use that ability, multiple versions of that ability, and really get a huge buff, like team steroid, going for you in like team fights in the mid game. And I'm also curious to see how it's going to affect objectives in the game. So I don't know where that's going. I think it's still developing. I certainly think that if there was a tournament this weekend, we would have seen some real good experimentation with it. Unfortunately, I don't believe there is one. So we're probably going to have to wait till the next major tournament to see that really fleshed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the invades early game, when you're battling for position and everything, if somebody's gonna make a play for green, say, and you've got 3 people defending over there with 2 people over on your blue side, and they're gonna do a three-man invade, if one of those teams has invested in Girdle and Creeping Curse early on, then that makes a huge difference. It's almost like having another person a lot of times.
That's
there's a lot of champs that are just extremely scary early game. Like if you look at Zeus or Arachne with the leech and all that. Thor even with his passive, it makes his damage so ridiculous early game that you can be caught off guard by that. So there's even more variety as opposed to a lot of other MOBAs. When it comes to the invading thing, now with these different abilities.
Nice. Lionheart has a cord or something that apparently moves sometimes and causes noise.
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good.
It's all right. Just want to let you know. So
it's really interesting.
Yeah. I guess that about covers it for the.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you guys wanted to go over with
those
the ability changes or abilities in general, how they are now versus before? Any suggestions you have for our audience, that kind of stuff?
Well, I think the way that Girdle works now, with the two ability slots, you can kind of put it on specific people. Like I like to get it as a ranged AD carry, so I can, of course I'm not going to get hands, but I can get a purification or Aegis and a Girdle. So a lot of people are kind of factoring that in because late game Girdle now is so attractive because it's that team buff, but at the same time you can waste it by popping 2 of them at the same time, where you could get more out of it by having something else.
So it doesn't stack, which is one of the arguments going on in chat right now.
Yeah, does it stack?
No, I don't believe so.
Have you tested it?
Not specifically.
I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
My understanding was, unless it's been patched recently, that it did stack.
Interesting. That can't
just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
it could have been hotfixed because I'll throw out that there was also a nice little exploit where you could use Ares ultimate, and then when people pop the beads, you could use Aegis to cancel the ultimate and then recast it, and that was hotfixed a couple days ago without any patch notes or anything whatsoever.
Nice.
So they do hotfix things secretly, but last I checked, it did stack.
That can't be working as intended.
Right. Yeah.
A group buff that stacks.
Yeah.
They got rid of that quite a while ago. So, because even with all the items, they're like, because they all used to stack. Well, some of them did, and they were like, it's not such a good idea.
Wow. I guess I'll ask this question from our viewer that just wanted to mention it.
Go for it. It's a good question.
It is. It's very long. Let's get ready for my reading skills. Prepare yourselves. Hold on to something because you might be blown away. My question is, has Kevin Bacon or any other mid considered a potion? Oh, Potion of Magic Might. Potion of Magic Might. It gives 50 magical power like Girdle, but for 5 minutes and for 400 gold. In my opinion, it's stupidly cost-effective, and I destroy all mids I play against. FYI, Polymonicon gives you 50 magical power for 1,500 gold. Girdle gives you 50 magical power for 10 seconds for 500 gold. I buy Girdle Potion of Magic... Wait.
I buy Girdle and Potion of Magical Might and my pots and destroy mid lane. With 100 magical power. So he can
That's
basically...
a really good question.
Yeah, basically he's saying, hey, with the potion and the Girdle and maybe an item, I can get 100 magical power at level 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I was actually really considering experimenting with that, and I kind of wanted to keep it secret, but I guess it's out of the bag now. I was actually going to try that in scrims, but yeah, it seems viable, honestly. I mean, even if you just go spear 1, it's 700 gold, and you have so much gold to waste into the magical might potion, and on top of that, you just use it in base, and then you can stack up on regular potions.
Yeah,
it does seem really viable.
Yeah, especially because the duration of it is 5 minutes. It isn't a quick thing.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't a quick buff.
I want to weigh in on that if I can.
Yeah.
No, you're not allowed. Go away.
Yeah, who are you?
It is a 5-minute duration, but it's an all or nothing. If you get that pot and you get ganked and you go down, now you're behind on your item build. And you're not just behind because you got killed in middle lane, you're behind even more than that. It's like you died twice basically on your first death. Because now you've lost the advantage of that potion. You don't have it for 5 minutes anymore. And now you've also given gold to the enemy. So you've essentially bridged yourself 1,000 gold between yourself and your lane partner if you die with that potion. So it's an all or nothing. I mean, that's like high risk. And mid lane is very susceptible to ganks early on. It's not usually warded for the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. And with with Girdle, it gives you that explosiveness when you need it. Where I mean, a lot of the extra magic power that you're going to get, I mean, sure, it's going to make you clear waves, and if you hit enemy champs, it's going to do an incredible amount of damage. But I mean, they're going to avoid the hell out of you and stay out of your reach completely. Whereas, I mean, with the Girdle, it's something that sticks with you the whole game, and it contributes to those small team engagements.
Yeah.
When you find those little jungle brawls for yellow, or when you're heading to Gold Fury or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that does seem something that would be cool to explore more and test out.
Also, a thing about it is, as it's a potion and you consume it immediately, they have no idea that you have it.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like a ghost. Like, they can see your ability builds. They know this can happen. But if you just rock in there and you're destroying them for no obvious reason, like, they have no way of telling that you have this buff on you.
Yeah, they're just gonna call hacks and leave.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really great strategy, very high risk, but I mean, it's very.
Well, you can't see when they pop it, but
well,
I
if
guess
you
you
do
pop
it
it
when
before,
it's visible.
yeah, if you do
But
it when
it
it's
should
visible.
it should give you an aura. I think that's oversight because potions like that in other games always give you an aura. I don't see why you don't get one in Smite.
It might be something.
yeah,
I
just
just
like a
want to
little
fix.
fog or something.
Yeah, so
I mean,
high
you
res.
can kind of figure it out on your own if you're going mid. And you see the guy only has rank 1 of a certain item. He's got no ability. You can kind of be
take
a
a
bit of a
guess.
detective and figure that out.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think it's as high risk as I guess maybe some of you guys think. I think it's great. As KO said, it even helps clear lanes. I mean, it's just a great tool to sustain lane in general.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Anatoly?
Yeah, I was going to say that you can't really see whether or not they pop the potion, and
Yeah.
if you can't see it, you just duck into the shield buff, pop it, and then come back into middle lane, and
Right,
then
yeah.
go wreak havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really depends on the god as well. I mean, if you're playing someone safe like Agni or
Yeah.
it's definitely not that high risk, I guess. Especially like I personally started taking wards mid, and it's started to help me a lot. I mean, I used to hate stepping out even from underneath my tower against certain teams because they're constantly roaming. But now with 2 slots, bring some wards mid after my first backing, and it just makes a world of difference.
Yeah, for sure.
So and for gods that stack it and have great scaling, like say Hebo, you can hit for like just like a truck right out of the gate.
That's true.
And you can probably easily just annihilate the other guy because he's not going to be expecting that,
Yeah, the same person said Hebo hits for 190 magical damage at level 1 with his 1 every 3 seconds. You outtrade the Roman ranged. So you can take them all out before they kill you, I guess. Is what that means.
Yeah,
Very
which at
interesting.
level 1 is pretty impressive
Yeah, it is.
because Roman range hurt a lot.
Roman range, man.
Man,
Crazy.
they are harsh. Thank you for that comment. So all you
Yeah.
guys, you now have a new meta to go try out and buzz stomp with. Beyond the Rift. Heard it
I
here
see.
first.
You can do more harass damage to them than the Roman range do to you. So, like, you can poke with your extra, damage. You can hit the enemy god for more than you're taking from his creeps. So that's rather interesting. And also, for all those people that are watching that are messaging me on my Skype name, message me on Perfect Rain because I can't move Skype. It's up here doing this. If I change windows,
Bad things happen.
They will disappear and bad things happen.
Yeah. Don't
So,
pay
yeah.
attention to the stuff behind the curtain.
Yeah, there's nothing behind the curtain.
Yep. All right. So did any of you guys have anything you wanted to say about abilities or anything else?
I think we've about covered most of it. We could talk about it for all day, so I think we just want to go ahead and move on to Ares and talk about him a week later. What do you guys think of him in a competitive sense? Is he competitive material? Have you guys used him in scrims, or is he generally considered off limits in scrims? I don't know what you guys
No, by
do
all
with it.
means, he's fair game. You
Okay.
know, I haven't seen a lot of people using him. I think people haven't, really gotten comfortable with him enough yet. Where there's other picks that they could take instead of Ares at this point. But I mean, from what I've seen of him, he does seem like he offers so much utility, and is that kind of like maybe support role would be absolutely phenomenal in a lot of situations. And his ultimate, not only is it forces them to get purification beads. When you have 2 ability slots, getting purification beads over Aegis is sometimes not what the other team wants to do. They want to just have their Aegis and then their offensive ability. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, purification beads do hard counter him, and what you see in normal games when somebody has Ares is everybody on the other team gets purification beads to counter that. But if that ult does go off, or if you stagger the ultimate and use it after they've used their beads, it annihilates. It's amazing. That ult is so strong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it's one of those things I've run into a few games playing with and with Ares, that usually if you're in just a pub pickup game, that you can usually get people in the ult once or twice, and then they're like, "Yep, purification beads."
You're all done. Yeah.
And you're done for that game.
And so then you go cry in your corner as Ares.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen many top tier teams using it yet, but even in pubs, what you see is like an Ao Kuang and a whatever, like a Ra or something, and the second they pull those guys in, that they all get hit by that bowling ball, and it's just disgusting damage.
Yeah,
it sets things up so nicely, and a lot of people use their jump prematurely, and then get pulled into it. I actually, in my opinion, I think the Ares ult is a little bit too long, in my opinion. But I mean, I haven't seen that much of him, but from what I've seen, I think that pull might be just a tad too long, because it gives you so much time to just set up. I just can't imagine how top tier teams, with their level of communication and everything, are going to be able to just set up DSIs left and right.
Yeah.
So, we'll see though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he brings so much to the table with, I really like how they designed him too, because his very unique passive, which if you guys don't know, it's the every time he gets an aura, he gets an additional 40 ability power. So he basically brings all these items that are kind of not picked as much, and very interesting, kind of like tanky hybrid builds and stuff. Some people are even getting like Void Blade on him to for the just the basic auto attack, because he does scale pretty well. So yeah, I think he's a really interesting kind of curveball champ that it'll be interesting to play around with him more and see where we can use him.
Yeah, I agree.
Kevin, what is your opinion on
Yeah,
Ares?
what do you got?
Are you gonna be playing him mid lane solo?
Yeah. No, unfortunately.
Solo
not.
mid
It's not
Ares,
viable
go!
at all. Mid. I don't know. I'm not too much of a fan, to be honest. I think I think his 3 personally needs a bit of a rework. I think it doesn't kind of suit what he's supposed to be, like a support player. His 2 and his 1 are fantastic. I think his 1 needs a bit of a buff, maybe a mana cost reduction. But that 3 just kind of feels out of place, and he really needs something, maybe a better engage other than his ult. That could come with, I guess, with a stronger 1. It just feels out of place. He just really doesn't need it, I guess.
Okay.
Interesting.
I don't think he's too viable, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's
one
also
health cleanse
overlooked.
counters his entire ult, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends. It depends on God picks a lot as well.
He's kind of a one-trick pony with that ult, basically.
Yeah.
But he's got that buff too, and that buff is actually very strong. It's I don't know what the exact number is, but I mean it's extremely noticeable. It makes CC go away so fast, and I don't know, that could really be an awesome tool for competitive play.
Cool.
What do you think of Natalie?
Yeah,
Anatoly.
like Kevin said, you could just cleanse off his ulti. I haven't experimented with him, but my other support player Sparks has, and he thinks he thinks Ares is like broken or like really good. Basically, I like the whole meta change that he shifts with the beads. Just forcing the team to have beads, or even a few of them to have beads, is good, because then they can't get other items.
Yeah. It's forcing them to buy something that they may or may not have to use like all the time. It's strictly a counter pick. item-wise.
So for those of you wondering about the bolster defenses, which I agree is one of his stronger abilities, the base at max rank, the physical and magical protection that provides for all your teammates in range is 35 for each, but it gets an additional 10 for each opponent that he has shackled. So if he has, obviously going to shackle a maximum of 3, good luck hitting 3 in the middle of a team fight, you probably can get 2. So basically he can, if he casts at the right time, give 55 physical and magical protection to everybody around him, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a global yellow buff for anybody who's nearby.
Yeah, I think his one mechanic is really awesome, being able to chain people like that. And it complements his 2. I mean, it works really perfect. It's just that 3 just kind of feels out of place, and that's really what's stopping him. He needs maybe a better engage other than his ult or just something. Maybe a bit I don't know.
So what
it's
would
hard
you
to say,
suggest
but-
as a spell for his 3?
Sorry?
What would you suggest that they change it to? Like, is there something
Oh,
particular?
I have no idea. Actually, I was thinking off the top of my head, maybe even like if you want to replace it, maybe with like a shield bash or something similar.
Yeah, knockback
maybe
or
like
something?
maybe it's a knockback. Maybe you can knock people back with it. Maybe you can slow people with it. Maybe you can a very brief single target stun that has to be a melee range. It's hard to say, but
Well, that'd be interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, knockback might be interesting.
Knock him back into walls, kind of like Alistar from League of Legends or something like that.
Or on her.
Yeah.
Well, on her kind of already has a knockback.
Well,
but his is
he's got a
ranged.
pin, but yeah.
Yeah.
One thing with Ares and his flame shield is, being, and it's probably something that's overlooked a lot, is when he uses that, he can't be knocked back. So he can be that guy. For example, when I'm playing on her, and I'm trying to get into that fight, and an Ares runs at me with his flame shield. Like my first reaction when I get into those situations is to pin somebody in a team fight and get that stun off. And I can't do that when that guy gets in my face, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's one way that he could be very, this game being all in the perspective that it's in, the third person perspective. I mean, getting in front of people and catching auto attacks, catching CC is something where tanks can actually bring positional skill into the damage soaking role.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's one problem. One thing that I've seen from the perspective of a ranged AD carry player with Ares is sometimes it's just he's a pain in the ass. He runs up and he's got his flame shield going where you either turn around and take less damage by getting out of that 5-yard zone or whatever, or you jump past him into the middle of the fight, which puts you in a danger zone. So he's a great zoner too.
Yeah, I mean, my initial impression of his Searing Flesh ability was that it was weak, but after seeing a lot of play and running this lane a lot, and I've run him with a ton of different comps, actually around level 3, it starts to do, not level 3 in the ability, but him hitting level 3, it actually starts to do pretty decent damage. You can get some nice harass in the lane by chasing people out, and because of his 2, he's able to absorb quite a lot of damage without losing a lot of health. And in later team fights, because people start to get tankier and get more health, that ability scales quite nicely into the late game. And I think, it was highlighted already that Hel is a good counter pick to him because of her ability to cleanse his ultimate. But outside of that, he's got the capability of forcing everybody on the enemy team to use purification beads. And anybody who doesn't have beads, who he hits, they're done for.
Yeah, they're very much done for. And so... Speaking of this, so he pulls him in, he stuns him. What are some good picks for your teammates to take advantage of an Ares ultimate? Beyond,
I think one of my favorite has got to be Ao Kuang. I've been in a lot of pubs lately where, I'm a pretty good player. I know what I'm doing. I don't get caught a lot. You know what I mean? But I still find myself getting in trouble with Ares quite a bit, and maybe it's just because I don't get quite enough experience with him yet, but. I mean, it is tough because there's a lot of situations where you want to pop your purification beads and where you want to use these escapes and stuff, and then all of a sudden he comes in and he hooks you and you're like, oh shit, and all of a sudden you get pulled into it, and a good couple just hard damage really destroys everyone that gets pulled in, and he follows it up with that 3, and I'd say, I mean, there's a lot of good AoE nukers. And Smite, you got Ra, Ao Kuang, a lot of good mids where you can chain CC them by Zeus. You can pull them into like a Hades or an Odin or something like that too, which is cool. But I think there's a lot of interesting combos that you can do with it.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been wanting to find or see or have it happen where one team's fighting the Minotaur and Ares just pulls the whole team into that little base. I just want to see it. And kills them all. I want to see it happen. So if any of you guys have a video out there of an Ares pulling the entire other team attacking a Minotaur into your starting position and pentakilling them, I would like to see it. I'll give you an Artemis skin code. So find it.
He's one of those champs who can really turn a game around, and yeah, I just think he's a good champ. I think he's going to have a cool place once people start picking him up more and playing with him and figuring him out. I think he's got a cool spot. He's kind of like that god that is good at everything, but not like the monster at anything. You know, he's not like a monster tank because he's forced into this hybrid build because he has to build aura items. It's interesting, you know. He's kind of like that. He's very much a hybrid definition of a hybrid. You know, epitome of a hybrid, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he very much is.
That's what he is.
His strong point is definitely objectives. He's absolutely great around Gold Fury and Fire Giant.
Yep.
Very much so.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you guys want to add on Ares while we are on Ares? Do you like his skins? Do you like his art? Do you think the animations could be better? You know, whatever. All right.
No, I'm a
like
big
it.
fan of all that stuff. Yeah.
Great.
I
Me
think it
too.
looks good. Yeah. Now here
I
is
like
a
it.
question that somebody asked earlier. What do you guys think of the theme skins? Like, do you like the Pirate Sobek theme? You know, doing fun things like that. Maybe a Halloween theme skin or these kind of theme skins. You think they should do more of those if they can for different gods instead of just making them cool looking?
The more content, the merrier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Anatoly.
I think like some of them give away your position. Like some of them might be too big or too flashy. So if you're hiding around a corner, you might get spotted too soon.
Or say you're Ymir and you
Yeah,
can't
if you're-
see. Your skin is so large it blocks your vision for your faraway walls. Yeah, I'm a big
Just
fan
see
of that,
something pirate
hi-rez.
of one-
Good job.
Yes. Makes
No,
your skins.
I think that's what people want to see. Actually, I mean, obviously it's not. You know, we don't want hi-rez to be prioritizing making the best skins or whatever
right.
over making a great game. But I think with the amount of skins that they do put out that are, you know, a lot of, which to be fair, a lot of those skins that are kind of lesser, you know, just kind of recolors and stuff like that. A lot of those are favor skins, and that's totally cool. But I think people do want to see some of these interesting, like flashy, you know, skins to add that, you know,
Yeah.
that little extra spice. Yeah.
Add a little flair. One thing I do like where it comes to another game, Super Monday Night Combat, they did a pack skins where everybody would get a fro, and it's a third-person shooter. So you got the skin and you ran it like 3 or 4 times, and you're like, I'm not running that anymore because it takes up like 2/3 of the screen. You're like, I gotta look over here to. No, I can't see you. You know, if it's super skill shot based and you can't see that whole chunk of your screen because his head's in the way, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, and some of the recolor skins, I think the one they did for Ao Kuang this week, I think sets a good thing in that not only did they change the coloring of it, he's now kind of transparent and hard to see. So I'm a big fan of that.
Nice. All right. Well,
All right.
what is our next to-do list?
Next,
things?
we are going along with this whole meta and all that, we are going to talk about the awesomeness that is Spear of the Magus and Voidstone.
So I guess we will talk with Kevin Bacon since he is mid lane.
Yes, Kevin Bacon mid lane. You are the expert, and you even play AP. So, Spear of the Magus,
Absolutely
Voidstone.
awesome item.
Tell
I
us
think
about
it's-
Is it a must-buy
I mean,
only?
I honestly, I think people may be deviating a bit away from the standard level 2 Spear of the Magus opening now. Honestly, I think it's a lot better to save the extra 700 gold that is getting from level 1 to 2 because it doesn't really help in sustain. And replacing that with an ability, and you can get twice as many potions. That's really what I've been seeing. Like I mentioned, I've been experimenting with Girdle My Mid. Today I experimented with opening actually Aegis Mid against a mid matchup that I think went in the other person's favor. So trying to help me out there. But other than that, I think it's definitely the best item to open with currently. But you know, it could change. Like I said, people aren't really going right for that level 2 Spear Magus anymore. I think having just 2 potions is pretty detrimental mid. So, but yeah, other than that, it's absolutely awesome.
Great.
Nice.
So, would you say beginning it's better than most items, or would there be something that you could say you're laning against someone who picks these? What can you do? What are your options to be able to counterpick it?
Well, it depends on the item as much as I guess the matchup.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you know the person has level 2 Spear and Magus, you know they have kind of the damage advantage, and I think from then on it's just a better choice to try and out sustain them.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That health is just so appealing. Yeah. Mid players just want to get that like a little bit of like girth, you know. They want to have some. I mean, that's why everybody was going crazy over reinforced boots. You know, it's the same kind of thing. And people, I mean, having that extra health really makes a big difference on those squishy APs. So the fact that you don't really have to sacrifice magic power to get it, it's pretty appealing.
Yeah. It's the penetration on top of the actual magic power. It gives you the extra health that most APs need, at the same time giving you. I haven't looked at the figures, so I'm just kind of pulling this, you know.
Yeah.
But one of the strongest openers, I think if you do go for level 2 Spear Magus, 20 AP and 20 pen is absolutely huge.
Yeah. It pretty much counteracts all tanks at the beginning of the game, which is really harsh.
Yep.
All right. So, Lionheart, since you cast games a lot, and our chat screams for you to cast more games,
Right.
You've got to see matchups fairly frequently that run along these lines. What do you think about it?
I think that Spear of the Magus is a very dominant item. I consistently see players who build that item out damage players who don't. I think that, you know, my initial reaction of that item was that it was too strong, but I was talking with some other players, and they made a good point to me the other day, was that before that item hit the game, mages, as far as their damage output, kind of in the early mid game, wasn't what you would expect when you compare it to other MOBAs, right? Mages have different variations, right? In League of Legends, there's mages that skill throughout the entire game, as where, for example, in Dota, most mages, not all, but most, can sometimes serve as a support role, like strict mages. There are definitely carries that have extremely good abilities in Dota. Let's not get into that. Anyways, the point is that the damage wasn't maybe where it should have been, and that maybe this item has corrected that. And I haven't had full time to evaluate it yet, but I will say from the games I've spectated, people who consistently build Spear of the Magus and build it early tend to do better than those that don't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess it's one of those things that it's hard to know whether it's the item or that the players pay more attention to the game and that they're getting the best item for the current build.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
They're the ones that are actually
might be a little bit
never funny.
Maybe tweaking the health might help, but I don't know if maybe the health is a little bit too much for the investment. But I mean, because there's still like the warlock. People just go back to the warlock sash, which was pretty much the same thing. You know, to get that health and the magic power right in the beginning. So, but you'll see some teams that just go, you know, every mage on the team has it, and that kind of, you know, it's such an appealing item that it kind of dampers the variety.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely that straight magic pen over the health itself. I think having 10 or 20 straight magic pen, not, you know, percent based, is absolutely huge.
Yeah, I agree, especially early.
That's what I think it was too. Actually, was the magic pen. That if there was anything that pushed the item over the edge, maybe a little bit, it was those values, because they're just so high for what it costs.
Yeah. Such an early item, and when you look at the boots, they only give you what, 25 at max level.
Yeah.
So even if they bought level 2 boots,
Oh,
straight
you're
up,
talking about boots. Boots don't give any magic pen. They just give magic power.
No, the reinforced boots.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the protection.
Protection.
Yeah. They give what, 25, right? Level 2, 15. Yeah. So either way, it pretty much completely negates that, and it does completely negate it at the very beginning. So, I mean, it's really strong against pretty much everyone. I think that's why people get it, because it counters half the items.
And then those without magic protection, I mean, they just melt.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was saying though. Like with that magic protection, I think maybe that the amount of health that it also gives you on top of having, you know, the magic pen, it I don't know. Maybe that's where it becomes so appealing.
Yeah. All right. Great. Well,
Nice.
I think we've gone over this. That.
Yes, I do agree. I would like to let everybody know that we're about to go into our God build, where we'll ask all these gentlemen how they would build and play a certain god that you guys pick. So please do vote in that little poll code that Tree Trunks is posting every few minutes, and that would be awesome. You should also follow this channel, of course, and follow us or like us on Facebook. And why should you do it? Because I said so. If you don't, I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to pull your toenails off with this.
That's
It's
awesome.
a pocket screwdriver, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, and if you follow us, your email won't be spammed. Like, if you
Right.
follow the hi-rez channel, where I swear I get like 20 emails a day.
Yeah.
It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's like every time they change somebody streaming, it's, oh, a new message, they're on. Oh, they're on again. Oh, they're on again.
And
I'll
off
get at least
again.
3 or 4.
They have it tell you when they're off, too.
Oh, really?
So,
Ugh.
oh, yes. It's good times. Good
terrible.
times. I'm a big fan.
Yes.
Well, then they stream with different streamers all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's a
They
good
have a set
idea, but
schedule
it's...
now that basically goes like from like 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day.
Yep. And so my phone is constantly R2D2ing at me because it's saying, you got an email! And so I jump out of my skin. And I get really irritated if it happens really early in the morning. So, I want to ask you guys some other interesting...
Those emails.
I know, they're awful.
Oh.
They jump at me at night and eat my children and, you know, just stuff like that.
That only happened once.
So, what do I want to ask? I want to ask something. Anatoly, tell us a little history about yourself. I want some history from you guys to know where else you came from in esports and stuff like that. Like, you know,
Yeah, what landed you in Smite?
what did you start with and why are you here now? There we go. That's a good way.
Besides being invited by us, of course.
Right.
Well, I was in Warcraft, then I played Counter-Strike. I also played World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, Brood War, and like a bunch of other games. Just competitively all throughout. Mostly
Nice.
Warcraft, though.
Cool.
Warcraft
So,
3.
have you had any experience in esports? Like, do you play on any teams or
Yeah.
involved
Used to
with teams?
play in Infernal Cry in Warcraft 3
Mhm.
for 4 years.
Nice.
Gotta love Infernal Cry, man. They were a big deal.
Cool.
Zapman could tell you about that too in chat.
Yeah. We both recognized his name from Warcraft, Zap and I.
Wow. Nice.
Neat. Kale, what else do you hail from besides Smite?
Well, I haven't done some crazy, awesome history like Anatoly, but I've just been all around competitive gamer. I always just get into a particular game and try to be the best at it. Play at the highest level of competition, and I love that. I just love the whole like growth and learning process and the mastering of a game. And yeah, I've played a lot of MOBAs. I played a lot of the original Dota, and then a whole hell of a lot of League of Legends. Like I had so many ranked games. It's ridiculous, but yeah, I mean, this is I came across Smite, and I've just I've just fallen in love with the whole fast-paced style of the game, with the skill shots and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm here to stay. I like Smite.
Kevin, what do you say?
I've kind of played every major title under the sun in the last like 12 years. I started out with Counter-Strike 1.5 and 1.6. Had a brief stint there before moving, I guess, to World of Warcraft. I was a WoW nerd for a while. And I played Arena in Season 3 and Season 4 and at the Gladiator range, so that definitely helps a lot. I mean, coming to Smite, the first thing that attracted me to Smite was how similar, I guess, the kind of movement mechanics are to WoW.
Yeah, they really
I don't know
are.
if a lot of people feel that way, but I generally actually absolutely hated MOBAs. I tried Han, I tried LOL, and after a while I'd always quit them, but this one just kind of stuck. And then I also competed in StarCraft 2 briefly, and I played on console actually for title Gears of War. I don't doubt you guys are too familiar with that, but it's like a third-person shooter. It's really fun. I've been to a few LAN events for StarCraft 2 as well as Gears of War.
Nice. I watched some Gears of War during MLG just because it's like the StarCraft matches were in between and all that other stuff. And it's like, what other ones are on? Oh, Gears of War. How interesting. Yeah. I didn't know they made it that damn competitive, I mean, they make anything
it's an interesting
competitive.
game, and competitive-wise, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I was a Gears of War player also.
Yeah, it takes a lot of teamwork, surprisingly. Honestly, in my opinion, it's probably the toughest console game. That's kind of what drew me to it. It actually requires so much communication. It's
And lots of
amazingly
standing
fun.
behind chest-high walls.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Those chest-high walls, man.
Yes, those chest-high walls. Everybody loves the chest-high walls. They need chest-high walls in Smite so we can duck behind them and stand behind them and say, "Well, I'm standing behind a chest-high wall."
Ducking in Smite.
Yes,
I will
in
admit
Smite.
that sometimes when I'm playing
Duck.
Smite, and I'm sure this happens to other people too. I'm running around and I hit space instinctively to jump
Yep.
because I think I'm like
Yeah.
doing an MMO or something.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I can't jump.
Or they need to add duck and block to Smite. So that way we can make it a third-person MOBA fighter. Run in there, punch him a few times, duck, block, combo, and then throw some spells at him, chain him up, drag him around. That'd be fun. Lionheart, where did you hail from before you came here besides Gears of War?
I just want to comment on the last thing you said real quick. I played when Borderlands 2 released. I played for 27 hours straight on stream, and yeah, I'm that guy. And when I went back to play Smite, dude, I kept hitting shift to try and run to the lane. Dude, it was so bad. I did it for like 3 or 4 days before I shook it. Anyways, competitive-wise, I'll just focus on MOBA. I played a lot of games, so that would take a while to go after.
Yeah.
But I played Dota. When I played Dota, dude, I was casual. I was a pub stomper. I thought I was the shit playing ABBA and a bunch of other people who, quite frankly, weren't as good as I thought they were. But I had a blast. After that, I got involved with Han for a while. And also Storm of the Imperial Sanctum, which some of you guys will know what that is, some of you won't. It was the #1 custom Dota-style map on StarCraft 2.
Yep.
And I was actually on the team that developed that game and created it, the official team, and we worked with that. And I didn't do anything on development side. Mine was completely community relations
Wow,
and
that's
moderating, but I had a lot of fun with that. After that, I moved into, during that, I moved into League of Legends, and I stayed with League of Legends for 2.5 years. I had a team. We did tournaments. We did tournaments with big names like Dignitas, CLG, MIG, which is now Azubu Frost, and so forth. And we had a lot of fun with that. And then I found Smite. I just kind of grew out of League. I mean, after 2.5 years, pretty much you hit this wall, and I think Lazi's probably hit the same wall. That's like either you're going to get a team together and get competitive, or you're going to find a new game because you've been playing this game for too damn long.
Yeah.
And my team, we were good. We weren't good enough. And so I just jumped ship on that and started playing Smite.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you, sir.
Yes, we are. You're
As well as the
epic-
rest of you.
Epic things. All right, so
So
I guess what we're
let's
going to
see
do
who
is
our
we are going to
poll
do our
winner is.
God thingy here
Yes.
as I'm sneezing.
Yeah, while you're
because-
doing that, I come across so many players from other MOBA titles that are just loving Smite. They really get into it, and they're telling me how much they enjoy it, and it's fresh. It feels good.
Yeah,
It's
golf clap.
very fun. It's very fun to just get into those games because so much there's that extra level of what can happen when you miss a skill shot and all of a sudden the fight is like completely flipped upside down on you, and everything just doesn't go according to plan sometimes. And
Yeah.
even earlier against, like, we were scrimming Juice, and right off the bat we tried to go for an early kill, and Anatoly put up a wall, a Ymir wall, and both Kevin and I like completely choked on our skill shots, completely missed this guy. It would have been guaranteed kill, and he just walks away. Whereas in a lot of games, you just select your ability, right click, stun them up against the wall, just
They're dead.
auto
Yeah.
attack them, and I mean there's that extra level, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, so like a quick question for all you guys. What skill do you think is the most transferable from other games to this game? Is it first-person shooters with the movement ability and the awareness that you have of around you? Not just map awareness, but having that sense that, there's going to be somebody behind me in just a second because I know he's there, because you actually have to look behind you in this game.
Yeah.
That, or is it the general League of Legends kind of stuff awareness, the fact that, you know how to play a MOBA, you know what the lanes do, all that kind of stuff. Could, of course, WoW Arena, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we're not counting MOBA generals or MOBA titles in general, I think it borrows from all of them. I think like I said, movement mechanics from MMOs, reflexes especially from first-person shooters, even RTS, mini-map awareness, absolutely huge. If you come from RTSs, you know how important that is.
Yeah.
You watch that like a hawk, and it's just as important here.
Yeah, you're almost staring at the minimap as much as you're staring at the screen.
Yeah, I think a lot of those, but I mean, it does translate in terms of a MOBA, and positioning and being the map awareness, and that's here to stay. That's still a huge part of Smite. It's just like League or Dota, but there's that extra level where you have to actually look down your lane, and a lot of times you can see things that are not on your mini map.
Yep.
So while of course you're always watching the mini map, like a hawk, but sometimes you'll be looking down a lane and you can see somebody way down at their tower backing, and your team doesn't see that guy on their map where you have vision of it. Where in other MOBAs, when you have vision of somebody, your camera has them in your view. They show up on the mini map, so there's that you have to communicate these things to your team.
Yeah, like, oh, I just saw him go to the middle lane when he was way back there. You would never seen that,
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I just saw that guy cross over. They might be going to Gold Fury. Let's go check. You can look through the bushes and like see if they're over there, and yeah, that's really cool.
It is. It's also kind of neat to be able to kind of hide behind a wall and use the camera to see around the corner and not be seen.
Yeah,
that's kind of nice.
LOSing, another thing from WoW, line of sighting.
Yeah,
and from Gears of War, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That too.
Yeah, yep. So, anyway, let's go and pull up our god. Who has won the poll tonight?
it looks like our poll winner is Ao Kuang.
Ao Kuang.
By 1. He won by 1 point.
By
We
one.
need Zapman here. He's not on the panel tonight, but that guy can play a mean Ao Kuang. And by mean, I mean go 0-17 every game.
Check out his banners. Anyone have a copy of the banner to link in chat?
Do it.
It's floating around there somewhere.
Beautiful. So, all right, where is that?
Yeah. So also, since we're pulling up these guides, we can show you on screen. Go ahead and you can go over to BLG.na, and we have a whole guide section where you can check out guides that are actually done by the people in the pro community, like some of our guys here. Lionheart has a guide. Lassies has a guide. A bunch of people have them. Check them out.
I'm going to be putting up a range AD carry one because I've got a pretty solid build that I've stuck with now for a while, and it's pretty strong. So I'm going to make a guide for that. So that's coming soon.
Beautiful score there, Zapman. I'm glad we can share this with all the community for you, and just really really troll you some because we know you love the attention. So
yeah, and that's one of the other things about you can be a really good player like Zap and still do really terrible. Just sometimes that's how it goes.
Yeah, sometimes you just get lucky.
Yep.
Or unlucky.
Yeah, or very bad just that day. You just didn't start off right, and it's downhill from there.
Every
buddy.
time you go to cast a skill, you're ambushed by On Her and Cupid and Arachne and Sobek all at the same time.
Yeah.
You got good use out of that Doom Orb.
Well, the thing is, Ao Kuang is a very passive hero, and Zap's playstyle is very aggressive. So
that's a good point. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. Look at this, Mr. Analytical Anatoly. Look at that. I did that all together.
Yeah.
That was
alliteration.
magical.
I'm
that was
proud
magical.
Of you.
I feel special now.
Working up that English language skill.
It is. So, KO, how would you build Ao Kuang, and how would you play him best in a lane, even though he is not your main guy?
Okay, well, I think putting a mid against people who are going very aggressive mids, like, there's a lot of different ways you can build your mid, so some champs that aren't as aggressive can be, but like an aggressive Hell or an aggressive Hades or something, if you're playing Ao Kuang, you can counterpick somebody who is going to try to bully in lane, and basically you can stalemate your lane with tornadoes and free farm safely. Another position that he really works well in is just putting him in a side lane, where he can just if you're running a side lane where you want to leave it solo and have somebody roaming a lot more, then you can just put him over there and let him farm, because he's safe against two people. He doesn't have to get up close and personal with two people. So he can even do that on the side lane, which I think is cool. In terms of builds, it all relates to his mana passive, where he gets 5% bonus magic power to his maximum mana. So I think going Warlock Sash is a must. Magi Boots has a lot of mana, like 250 mana or something. And then of course Warlock Sash, just all the items you can get with mana on it. getting a Gem of Isolation, because not only
Yeah.
you get mana off that, but it's just such a crazy utility item. You can even get, as a defensive item, you can get like the Magi's Blessing with a like 350 mana on it. And then just finishing off with the Obsidian Shard, and then the Rod of Tahuti is going to put you at a huge amount of nuking power. And, that's just, in my opinion, the best way to go with them.
Cool. Cool. Kevin, what is your opinion on how would you build and or play an Ao Kuang?
He's a really fun god. He's really squishy, and honestly, I feel like taking the all or nothing route. I feel like you should build him like complete like glass cannon. It's as much damage as you can. Support him in jungle, and you should be able to put out crazy damage. But yeah, it's all situational, like KO said. Honestly, I'd probably open Doomorb. I know it's probably the riskiest build you can go, but he's such a safe god during that early laning phase. It really the mana on top of the magic power you get from it is just incredibly strong. And then I guess, like I said, it's situational. So you can go into boots, or you can actually just skip boots completely and go into something like Sash. Sash into boots. It's all about his passive, like KO said. So Sash into boots, into Gem. I think Gem is essential for Ao Kuang, especially in jungle. The way I'd play him is, like I said, support him in jungle. I think he's amazing at objectives. I think his ult is incredible in jungle. I think he does some of the highest damage in the game. If he's I guess decently fed enough. But yeah, so like I was saying, open Doomorb. If you're feeling frisky, if you're feeling like taking that risk, go straight into Warlock Sash. Camp your lane, keep getting that creep score up. Or otherwise, go into boots. You can start roaming. Boots, Sash, Gem of Iso, Obsidian Shard, and Tahuti. Just the most damage you possibly can.
Yeah.
That sounds really harsh.
As much nuking power as possible. When that dragon comes through, you better not be in the damn way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his ult is big enough that in the jungle it pretty much is the whole lane.
Yeah.
So just point it down the lane, and pretty much without exception, you will hit someone in it. Them crannies. So, Natalie, you look all excited for this one.
Yeah, I don't play Ao Kuang much, but Midas Boots is like a must, I feel. You get the farm so high. You get Gem of Iso, Rod of Tahiti, and then all the magical pen items. And you'll just wreck face, basically. You'll get the farm so high you'll be level 17 by the time everyone's level 12 with Midas Boots. You'll never leave middle lane because they can't get close to you. You're going to be tower hugging.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say, because for all you guys who play Ao Kuang and have people that get to you rather easily, when you drop your tornadoes, drop it so that one side of it is all the way up against the side of your lane. You should still be able to hit all the guys in it. So that way, the enemy can't just walk around your tornado. They have to actually go one way all the way around.
Yeah, it's a good way to force people to
either go
through it and take the pain, or have to take the indirect route around.
Yeah, which takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
So that's why these guys are saying that he's hard to get to, because one, he basically blocks off half the lane. They have to either go through it, take it, or go all the way around, which gives you time to wander off.
Goodbye.
Slowly, if you feel so.
You can probably just back away faster than they can get around it.
Yeah, so that's why, just that interjection right there. So continue, Natalie, if you had anything else.
No, that was it. How
about you, Lionheart?
So Anatoly is onto what I think is the maybe yet to be accepted as the majority build for Ao Kuang, which is the Midas Boots. I don't think you can open them unless you're getting blue buff, because they don't provide you enough stat benefits. And your last hitting can, depending on who you're against in the lane, be a little shoddy early on. I think that it's probably best that, unless you know for certain you're going to get blue buff, to open up with either Tier 2 Spear of the Magus or Doomorb. There it is. Doomorb was evading me for a second. And it just depends on your playstyle. I mean, if you're confident in your ability to stay alive, Doom Orb's a great choice. Gives you that extra MP5 in the laning phase so you can stay longer. If you're not maybe as confident in your ability to stay alive, we had already talked about it earlier. Spear of the Magus will give you that extra survivability, and it's really going to increase your damage early on. In fact, if you place your tornadoes pretty well in the middle lane, you can actually, if you're able to land 1 or 2 onto your opponent, you'll be surprised the amount of damage it does with that item. So I think that certainly you're going to open with one of those two, and then as soon as you go back, rather than finishing those, well, if you have Doom Orb, you need to finish it as soon as possible. But if you have Spear, I think you finish Midas first before you go back and finish that Spear, and then you'll just snowball. I mean, he's such a safe pick. He can just hide under tower and clear the wave once he has his core items built with one ability. You'll get the full benefit of those Midas boots, and you will get more money and out-level your opponent so long as they're not roaming to side lanes and picking up kills. And that can be huge later on in the game, and I think people are starting to see that 5% boost to the Midas boots a couple patches ago is pretty significant. It stacks up. You won't notice it right away, but after a while it becomes a big deal. The longer the game goes, the more it's in your favor.
Yeah.
Coming into the late game, you can get up to like 800, like crazy amount of magical damage, and it's just awesome. Nuke so hard.
So hard.
And if you pick up those side buffs, and if you get the damage multipliers from them, then all of a sudden you're sitting on ridiculous amount of like over 1,000, with all these multipliers, and that's just crazy.
Yeah, that is a little insane.
Yeah, he can get pretty bad. Drop a tornado on someone that's like fourth half their health. Yeah.
Well,
Especially
the thing is like also like he's one of the he's one of those gods that doesn't require a specific set of boots, right? He's not an AD, so he doesn't need Warrior Tabby. And as far as magic casters go, they really have some range. I mean, Meiji boots, they just give you a little extra mana, a little extra ability power. I mean, certainly that synergizes well with his passive, but wouldn't you rather be the highest level in the game and get that extra damage just naturally scaling off of having your abilities scaled higher than other players? And then, I mean, there's always the reinforced boots option, but that seems like that's been out of mid for quite a while. Unless you're going raw. Sometimes raw will bring it out. Or Vamana.
Midas boots, interesting topic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the Midas boots are going to be...
Shing's been doing it in ranked recently.
Yeah.
And scrims.
Explain this real quick.
Yeah.
The Midas boots?
Yeah, explain
15% more experience and gold, plus standard move speed from boots. Right?
Yeah, and it's not something you expect to be as effective as it is, but especially when somebody just gets a few early kills and they're just, they get 4 levels on you, it's pretty insane.
That's hard to come in from.
We're seeing like Shing do it a lot, but if you're like the top ELO carry or whatever, and you're really trying to be the monster on your team, Midas boots is actually pretty cool. I mean, especially because you get it from assist too, so. You can go these builds like I was talking about earlier, where you have the variety where some people go like highly explosive offensive early game builds where you have like Creeping Curse and Girdle, stuff like that. If you can get those early kills off with those items, you've made a great investment and you're going to be way ahead.
Cool.
I also want to throw out there that, if you sell those Midas boots back, you're only going to lose 30% of the money you invested in them. So it's not a huge loss to you. And it's certainly, if you've been getting your last hits, you've more than earned the full money back when you sell them.
Yeah.
And you can choose to sell them at any time. You don't have to hold them the whole game. But I will also throw out the caveat that I think people should be careful. Don't go on to like a Midas boots craze where you think that it's okay to pick up Midas boots on every single god in the game, because I think it's very much, there are some gods who very much need the boots that they purchase right now. They can't afford to get Midas boots. So be careful with that. Don't please don't run around Guan Yu Midas boots. Maybe Bastet Midas boots.
Oh yeah,
I don't know would be the best choice.
Great plan.
Bastet Midas boots. That's where it's at. You heard it right from Lionheart.
Yep.
Although now someone's gonna go out there and do it and prove me wrong just because I said something. But
exactly,
the best I'm just saying, just be careful with who you pick it up on. I don't think that it's for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, especially if your panties are in a wad.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So yeah, we have a caller online, and then we were going to head out for night. He messaged us earlier, and he has a call about AD Hell, I think it is.
All right, go ahead. What was your question exactly?
Bezlil.
Thank you for
First
joining
of all,
us.
I actually want to kind of prove Lion wrong on his Bestep minus boots.
That didn't take long.
Well, it actually happened to me in a game about a week ago. I was playing just a normal pub game, not against like really good players. But I had been ganked a couple times in one of the side lanes, and I was farming up Heartseeker. So I was down a couple levels, and I was like, what the heck? We'll try Midas boots. And within 5 minutes, I was 2 levels ahead of everybody with like 2 extra K gold. So, I mean, they can be good in certain situations, but yeah, I definitely would not get them off the bat. So
I feel like I shot myself in the foot with her.
okay.
She doesn't need Warrior Tabby. Like, if you even had, like, we're not getting into Bastard builds, but like, I skip Warrior Tabby on her all the time. So like, I shot my foot and like myself in the foot with her. I should have said like Honor. Like, don't like no Honor's gonna shoot myself in the foot to get clear away. I should have said Artemis. Okay, Artemis. Artemis doesn't need those boots. Nobody plays Artemis anyways. Anyways,
Artemis.
I digress. All right, you play Artemis.
KO plays a mean Artemis.
Zap did a roaming Artemis in one of the tournaments too. I remember that.
Wow.
That was good.
All right,
anyway,
Artemis back.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to point out real quick, but my 2, I guess, comments or questions were.
What do you have for us?
Hell's side lane. Do you guys think that with the game kind of evolving week to week, it seems like, and mid is being more dominated by, say, like Agni, Hades, and usually Raw, you don't really see like good successful Hells just because they kind of get out. I don't want to say out farmed because she can farm really well, but more out damaged and just kind of out sustained. Do you think that Hell will become more of a side lane hero than a mid lane hero as the game progresses?
Talking about Hell as in a side lane?
Yes. Well, like in a pure support role more than a I'm just going to nuke the crap out of people.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. You see, actually, a lot of people do run like a support mage side lane, and one of the things though that I've noticed is if you're, because usually if you're over there like left lane with a melee assassin, because in right lane you have like a tank support with your AD carry. If you have, let's take an assassin and Hell in left lane. Well, when that assassin goes to leave the lane and go to gank somewhere, Hell being alone in a lane against 2 people doesn't really have the escape mechanism and the viability to stand there alone and get the experience and farm. She's too easy to just zone out. But I think a lot of mages that have like dashes and stuff like that are a lot more viable for the side lane. Raw works pretty well because Raw is very fast and he can basically clear the whole wave. As opposed to Hell, who has to kind of get up and close in between the 2 packs. So I think Ra is better in that kind of role as a support mage, but I mean you can make it work with Hell. Though just you have to be careful of the damage that you're going to take and the vulnerability that you have if you're going to push out into that lane at all against 2 people.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean I think she's an amazing hero, and if you have the chance, it would be awesome to have her on your team, even having a different AP mid. But that 1 to 5 game is just even mid, even a 1v1 mid, it's pretty tough. So when you throw 2 people in the mix, I don't think she generally doesn't do too well. I think against that much damage output. I think like Keo said, Raw and Agni are much better picks. They're safer. They require no risk to clear the wave. Hell is. Everyone knows her 1 to 5 game is relatively weak, so I think she struggles sometimes against certain gods mid as it is. So if you put her in a 2v2 situation, it's only going to get worse, I think.
Cool.
Okay.
Anatoly, any question or comment?
Yeah, in the right lane you can't really run Hell. Like pre-level 5, she's just too weak. She doesn't bring anything to the table in terms of like 2v2 team fights. I'd say level 7 though, things get interesting. So if you can survive until level 7, then
that's actually
really interesting from there.
That's actually a good point. You could rotate a different person mid at that stage to benefit off the solo lane and have Hell, not necessarily dominate, but do a lot better in that side lane. That's a good point.
Yeah, she goes like totally parabolic after 5. I mean, in a lot of those team fights, I mean, even you take a really scary lane, Sobek Cupid is a lane with against a Hell that's level 5 or 6 or 7, really ends up losing that fight most of the time, just because she's cleansing the CCs, she's doing so much burst. Cupid is so squishy if you can get around all that CC, which is basically what Hell offers. So, I mean, yeah, Hell does. I've run Hell side lane, quite a bit. Yeah, if you can survive, and like they were suggesting, maybe even putting a Hell in mid until she can get her ultimate and be able to get into that healing stance and sustain. Yeah, maybe it could work.
That'd be interesting. Sounds like something you guys should try out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hell is such a strong champion right now, and just having the Hell in side lane, come into like the mid game. It's a lot of people underestimate it because it's not seeing a Hell mid lane, but that Hell is still out there, and even with another mage on the team, as you guys probably know, I mean, a lot of people build Hell kind of tanky with like Voidstone and stuff.
Yeah,
and she's honestly such a monster with her 3. It heals so much, it does so much damage, and she's hard to take down. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely a cool pick, but you just gotta have some kind of strategy to get her through her early game.
Yeah, definitely.
Her,
well, thank
her
you.
early game is weak. I do want to throw one thing out there that wasn't talked about. I
Before
think you
line,
might
right?
see more side lane Hell when Ares is used in competitive play, because again, we already went over it. She is a very nice counter to Ares and his ultimate, and if you haven't backed before level 5, although she'd have to get the timing pretty perfect because the cleanse isn't very long at early levels, she can completely cancel that combo.
Yeah.
Right.
True, yeah.
And I guess my last kind of question or comment would be with Ares being such a strong initiator. Even if the other team does have beads, like you guys were saying, I mean, it forces them to get either beads that they don't really want to get as an AD carry, or just beads that they don't want to get in general, that like they would rather get Heavenly Agility, Curse, etc., etc. Do you feel that if paired with the right composition, would he be able to initiate a team fight by forcing people to use their beads first, and then say Hell go in, or Wukong go in, or another god that has like a mass AoE kind of go in and help
use it
the
second.
rest? Yeah.
Yeah, or use your Wukong first and then make them pop beads out of that, and then use Ares to pick up anybody who popped out of that and drag them in again.
Yeah, he offers a lot in that sense, and that's the one thing I was talking about. Like, it's, you think in your head like, oh yeah, just beads out of that ult, no problem. But when you get into those team fights, sometimes it is tough when against a team that pulls it off, where like a Wukong comes in and ults, and then you get like stunned against a wall, and then you're trying to escape, but you get CC and you use your beads. There's always situations where you're using your beads, and then all of a sudden the Ares can come in and ult, and then grab you all and pull you back into a situation where your APs can just nuke in one spot. Yeah, I mean he's scary.
It's pretty strong.
Great.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, sir. And
Hey, no problem, guys. Great
Thanks for the
show.
call.
Keep it up.
Thank you. We will.
most certainly.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cut the recording here. Like, we're going to go ahead and call the show done for right now. But we are going to do some more conversation, just very casual, talk with the panel, everybody call in, get your questions answered, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we just don't want to make the show 3 hours long.
Yep.
So,
our VOD, we try to
our
keep
VOD.
shorter.
We're trying to keep it shorter because we end
'Cause
up
it
running
needs
to
to
like
be
an hour and a
shorter.
half and almost 2 hours sometimes. So,
4 hours, 5,
in order to
6,
avert that, we will, for all the people on the VOD, for all the people on the VOD, we will see you guys next Thursday at 9 o'clock. Please do tune in. Of course, go to BLG.na to find out all your Smite news information, guides, and all sorts of fun stuff. These guys are, of course, posting on the forums there to, let people have access to them and all that fun stuff. So, thank you again for joining us, and
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage. We will stop there. Whoop.
Wrong one.
Anata with the